You've already been a pro.
Thank you. When I finally got the courage to tell my family that I had been accepted to the School of Visual Arts, it was just one more drip in my bottomless bucket of failure. I know, you're going to be an artist, no, how can you shame us like that? What are we going to say, the pasta Acevedo? Why can't you get a nice job like your primo Jackie and she work in a bank, you know, that's a nice job. Or why can't you do a job like your other cousin Sylvia, ella está un secretary, that's a woman's job. Or why can't you like have some children? And that got to me, but maybe not in the way that you might think, because for my entire life, I was the red sheep of my Puerto Rican family. I was the one who didn't speak Spanish well. I was the one that danced punk rock like this instead of salsa like this. I was the one that didn't fit in. And I was so tired of being a decepcionado to my family. And, you know, I remembered when I graduated, and one of my relatives actually said to me that I could have done something with my life. I could have been a doctor or a lawyer because I was smart, but I chose to throw it all away and like, God help me. So, you know, you hear things like this all your life and it gets to you. So I decided that I was not going to be a decepcionado anymore. I was not going to bring any more shame upon my proud family than I had already had. So after I had graduated, I did not move to C-Squat with the rest of my friends in the East Village. I moved out here to Brooklyn, near Prospect Park on 15th Street and 8th Avenue, on top of a dry cleaner and next door to a tortilla factory and a crack house and a Hoover house and whatever else was on 15th Street named after me back in the late 80s. And I got myself a job, a real job, at a prestigious advertising agency in Midtown, right off of Vanderbilt Avenue. Now I can't tell you the name of this advertising agency, but they did a lot of stuff that you would have noticed. And I just thought that this was going to be my vindication. This was going to be my proving myself to my family that I was an adult. I finally could leave all the drama and misfortune and terror of my childhood behind me, because now I was an adult and people were going to be sane, rational, and sophisticated. Monday morning, 10 a.m., I opened the door to my boss's office, and I have to duck as he throws the One Show manual, which is like this giant encyclopedia of advertisements at me. And I hear him, idiot! No, stupid idiot! What the hell? Welcome to my new life, where people are sophisticated and compassionate and every single day. Where everything that I did every day was my fault. Okay, like if the rain frizzed and if the rain fell and it was humid out and his hair frizzed, it was my fault. It was my fault that I could not tape MTV's House of Style when he was out drinking wine out of paper cups on rooftops in Tribeca all night because I couldn't afford cable because I was basically making like $13 an hour. And it was my fault that I didn't have a credit card and I couldn't go to Barnes & Noble and buy him $500 worth of books. Everything, every day was my fault. It was kind of like me being back at home with my family, only now I was being paid for it. And then there was the day that I was in the elevator speaking my mangled Spanish to somebody, and I didn't know, but the head of the company was behind me, and the next day I was called into my boss's office, and I kind of ducked, but no book was coming, and he asked me to sit down, which was unprecedented, and he asked me if I was Spanish, and I was like, why? And he said that I was seen speaking Hispanic in the elevator. And what I found out later was that when the boss found out I was Puerto Rican, they're like, we have a Puerto Rican proofreading copy. Does she speak English? 1994, people. So, I'm like, well, you know, and he says, well, you speak Spanish. And I'm like, well, like, yeah, kind of. He's like, great, I have this big assignment for you. And it was, they wanted me to translate copy for this brand new hair care client that had just entered the Caribbean market. Now, I can't really tell you who this hair care client was, but I will tell you that they made things like Awapui conditioner. And yeah, you got it. So, and I was like, well, I can't do this. I mean, like, I'm not fluent. I speak kitchen Spanish. ¿Tú sabes? Like, español de cocina. Like if my cousins are lazy, I call them papa de sofa. There's no such thing as that in California Spanish. Like, sí, sus chuletas tiene sabroso, abuelita. And ay, papi, sí, fuego. Right. Okay, that's my Spanish, okay? And I was like, what you need someone who's a native Spanish speaker. You need someone who was taught Spanish from the day they popped out of their mother's estomago, okay? You need, no, Missy, what you need is your job. So, I took 2 English-Spanish translation dictionaries, and I went into my cubicle, and I took these ads, and I just tried the best I could. And then I got stuck, and I tried to call my family, and they were just like, "Dad, you're translating Spanish, they better get themselves a lawyer." And I was like, you know what? I am proud to speak Spanish like the American that I am, and I'm getting paid for it. And I shut them up for a little while. So I did my best, and I put in the ads, and they were accepted, and everything was good for a couple of weeks, and then my boss calls me into his office at 10 o'clock in another morning, and I had done 3 books this time, and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, idiot! No, effing idiot! You cost this company $1 million account! And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? You put a dirty word in those Caribbean ads! And I'm like, what? And he pulls out, like, anybody remember like photostats? This was like the last friggin' photostat ever, but this is the 90s, okay? I don't know where he got this from. He pulls out with this thing that's like my size, and it's highlighted where the offending word is, bello. He said, you put a bad word in these ads, see? Bello, 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 that's bad. I'm like, I mean, I wanted to say, dude, were you smoking crack? But I said, no. I was like, bello's not a bad word. It just means hair. I'll prove it to you. So we go down the spiral staircase from where the creative department was, with its fresh arrangements of flowers, leather furniture, ladies wearing $500 shoes and $300 manicures, and everything is beautiful. And we go down into the pits, where every other Latino employee of that workplace worked. Funny how I never noticed that before. We went into the bullpen where people were still doing the pay stubs and mechanicals because we weren't entirely digitized yet. And we met Hector, the Chicano, that was the production manager, and we met Ed Wihey, who was the head artist, and then we met Yvette, who was she was the human resources person. She was a Dominican, and then we met Marcy, who was a proud Brooklyn Boricua, the receptionist at the front desk. And when I asked all of them what did bello mean, they were just like, bello just means hair. And my boss was just like, and I'm starting to feel cocky, because I'm like, yeah, bello means hair, right? And then I see Solange, or who we used to call Soli. She was the 17-year-old intern in accounting, and she was from Calle Ocho. And I'm feeling cocky at this point because everybody's backing me up that it's like bello means hair. So I'm like kinging it up, and I'm like, mira, ay Soli, ven aquí. And she comes over and she's like looking at me like, what is she doing? And I was like, tell him what does bello mean, right? What does bello mean? And like her brown skin turns paler than mine, and she spins me around, and she goes, you can't say that in front of a man. It's bad. And my boss goes, I knew it! You're fired! And he storms away. And it didn't matter that Soli was 17. It didn't matter that she came from a Pentecostal sect so extreme that you weren't allowed to dye your hair, paint your nails, wear a skirt below here, or even tweeze your abundant chin hairs. I was guilty. So my boss told the entire company that I had translated an ad for their big client that made the Our Puri conditioner for the Caribbean market that said, Our Puri conditioner makes your pubic hair fine, conditioned, and and I was sent home.
Wow.
But then the next thing I realized that I had left some art supplies in the drawer next to in my cubicle. So I went in. I was like a little afraid that I might get like escorted out, but nobody was around the offices at all. So I got my stuff, and I followed this noise and clamor into the conference room where the giant television, well, as giant as they had in 1994, was that they used to do the presentations on, was was on, and the entire office was in there watching as they were about to give the verdict for the O.J. Simpson case. And I noticed the climate of the room. All the Caucasian people were on one side, all the beige and brown people were on the other, and as usual, I was stuck in the middle next to the lone Asian employee of the company. And as I got there, they gave the verdict. And as you could imagine, all the beige and brown people went, yeah! All the Caucasian people went, ugh! And I saw my boss looking at me like he's like saying, why are you here? And then I realized that I didn't really work there anymore, so maybe I should leave. And as I'm leaving, I'm hearing all these like whispers going around me about they, the faceless ones. They were in Grand Central mugging all the white people. They were in Penn Station raping all the white women. They were rioting on Madison Avenue. And people at my job started to like be afraid because they, in fashion, you have these account managers that are usually like these young girls that start working at like the age of 22. So these girls are like maybe 22 to like 28. They mostly come from Connecticut or Long Island or Westchester. They really don't know about the city, and they're starting to freak out because they have to go to Grand Central and they have to go to Penn Station. And who do you think walked them to their stations to make sure they got home safe? You're right, they did. Yep. So I'm leaving, and someone asked me if I'm going to be okay, and I'm like, if anyone touches me, they're not going to be okay. And I'm walking up Madison Avenue, and I'm walking from 28th Street to 57th Street because I'm supposed to be meeting my then husband who was at the Art Students League, and I noticed I'm walking up Madison Avenue. There's like, I had to walk in the street because the sidewalks were so crowded of people like waiting for express buses to go to the other outer boroughs, and like stores were closing their gates, and you could like feel this palpable sense of fear. And I'm basically walking in the street and I'm looking at these people and I'm like, these are people that never took a friggin' express bus before. I hope they got enough chump change. And I'm also thinking that what all it's going to take is one idiot to say the wrong thing, or one car to backfire the wrong way, and this is not going to be a good situation. I thought of the Who concert that had happened in Cincinnati. And I also thought of a concert that happened at, I think, New York College, the one that Sean Combs did, where someone else also got caught in a stampede and got trampled. But I made it to 57th Street New York Students League, fine. And my then husband said, why were you late? And I was like, fucking OJ. And he was like, assholes. And this is why we got along, because we were always on the same wavelength. And, you know, we made it back to Brooklyn. And the next morning at 10 o'clock, I get a phone call. It's my boss. And he's like, where are you? You're late. And I'm like, I'm not late. I'm fired. He's like, you can't be fired. You're freelance. Are you going to come to work, or do I have to book somebody else? So I went back to work, and I would work at that company for the next 7 years, outliving my boss's tenure there by 6.5. And when I got home that day, there was a box on my stoop, and it was a box from the Awapui Hair Care Company with a letter thanking me for my invaluable contribution to their Caribbean campaign. So, you know, New York City has endured trials in the past. We may be enduring a trial now. It's not the first time, people. There have been many times in this city's history we thought it was all going to turn to shit. But I'm going to tell you one thing, people. From the contents of that box, for the next year, I had the most fine, conditioned, and brilliant bellow in all of Brooklyn all over.